Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is Tuesday, which means I'll be joined by my co-host in just a moment, Rob Regish, as we perform the Blueprint Power Hour. For those of you who come and watch this show live, thank you. Post your questions and comments. We'll get to all of them, I promise you. Before we start that, I have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. If you haven't tried the tasty pastry, you're missing out big time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off and let them know that you heard about them here at Superhuman Radio. They are our title sponsor. And I just want to mention something. This economy, and you know what? Let me bring Rob on. Hold on. I'm sure he'll have a little comment to make about what I'm going to say. So here we go.
Calling all Blueprint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the Blueprint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
I got to blow my nose. Hold on. Whatever I had over last weekend, upper respiratory, it still got me. It's amazing. Who knows? Maybe it's a new variation of COVID. How you doing, Rob? How's everything?
I'm doing okay. I filled up my tank it was over $80. Yeah. I drive a Honda Accord, and it wasn't even a full tank because the light wasn't on when I started. But yeah, it's $5.09, 10-cent jump from yesterday, 20-cent jump, 30-cent jump from 2 days before. It's nuts.
So I've been doing this show for 16 years, and in 16 years, we've had lots of problems that had to be overcome. A show doesn't last 16 years without tenacity and a willingness to fight as hard as you have to fight to keep it alive. I've seen so many advertisers who were going to set the world on fire come and go. And the show stays. But the show stays here because of the willingness to struggle. And I have to be honest, I really thought earlier this week that this was it for this show. I didn't think we were going to be able to go on any further. And it's because of this, I'm sorry, fucking economy. I have never, ever, ever had the difficulty getting sponsors to spend money on the podcast before, ever. And the only thing it can be is, and I'm seeing, I'm looking on Instagram, there's fewer ads. I usually go to Instagram and I screenshot the people advertising. I reach out to them and say, hey, I know you're on Instagram. Why don't you come and tell your story to my audience on the show? And usually, it's a numbers game. You send out 30 emails, you get 4 replies, you close 2 people, boom. But this has been the toughest that I've ever experienced. Because we had people that were all ready to come on board, and they're like, you know what, our budget dried up. And this economy is destroying this fucking country. Yeah, and I don't want to hear about the Green New Deal and all these altruistic, we're going to be electric. We're not going to have electric cars. This is just to destroy the American population. The working class is struggling. They're suffering. I mean, we have $6 a gallon gas here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's $8 and $9 out west. The gas is affecting everything. milk prices have gone up because you have to ship milk and refrigerated trucks. Everything is going up. We cannot sustain this. I mean, look, if this business, if this show goes by the wayside, I'll go get a job. I mean, I hope I'll be able to get a job at 64 fucking years old. I hope I can. But I mean, this is now getting serious, folks. This is like, if you don't vote Republican moving forward, then you are the fucking reason we're having these problems. You.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, I was thinking of this before I got on air. I would love to talk to someone who voted for Biden, other than the dead people and, you know,
Yeah, the
the
fake people.
illegals.
Yeah, the ballots that there was. If you haven't seen 2,000 Mules, watch it. It's unbelievable. It's not propaganda. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Who voted for this guy? Who voted for this?
It boggles my mind, but we are at a point in time where people have to choose essentials and medication. Essentials and other, you know, there is no discretionary income, I guess is my point. And it's getting worse, and the ripple effect, in my opinion, it starts with gas and then it goes to food and everything.
What people don't realize is what Biden did by turning off the spigot for us to produce our own oil created all of this cascade effect, because everything depends on petroleum. Everything depends on gasoline. Your ability to get to and from work, your ability that the pay you get actually is meaningful. The shipping, everything you buy is shipped. FedEx, UPS, it's all shipping. This is here, you'll know. Yeah, exactly. Sean Watson says, watch 2,000 Mules. You'll know who voted for Biden. And I'm telling you, man, there is absolutely going to be a revolution. That's why they want to get our guns away from us, because there's absolutely, you're starving people, you're hurting people. Now it's got, you know, there's an old saying, revolutions are never fought on full stomachs, which means that you got to be really, really hungry to get out of your comfort zone and fight. Well, people are starting to experience the hunger now. You have people who can't afford their home payments anymore because they have to put, you know, they're spending $1,000 a month on gasoline for the family.
It's hard to deny that the election was stolen when there's videotape and cell phone triangulation to prove they stuffed the ballot boxes. I mean, you know, you can't look at that and credibly look back at someone else and say, no, the election, you know, wasn't stolen. It was free and fair. It's nonsense. I did not think this, by the way, before I saw that movie, 2,000 Mules. I figured, well, there might be, you know, there might have been some election fraud, but probably not enough to sway an election. That, my opinion, changed after seeing that film. Game changer. You can't deny it.
Malcolm Jelani says 507 is a good number, bro. I don't know what that means, but I know you're a big fan of the show, so I'm going to wait for you to clarify that, because
maybe you meant the gas price.
Oh, 507. Yeah, I know exactly. Well, see, and I fill up with high test because both my car and my motorcycle require premium gas.
It's over $6.
And let me tell you a secret that I discovered. And check this out, because this is true. The more ethanol they use, the worse gas mileage you get. And on top of that, did you know that gasoline with ethanol in it goes bad in 3 weeks? Yeah. It literally goes bad in 3 weeks. So they're putting more and more ethanol to try to offset the cost of petroleum, but it's going to take you more gas to get to and from the work every day. This is idiocracy, folks. This is idiocracy, and Joe Biden is the fucking master idiot. He's the master idiot. You know what? I am so close to going off the air that if I piss you off, I'm sorry. You need to fucking go. You need to go.
I think the next step you're going to see and hear about, hopefully not experience, people are going to start siphoning gas.
Yeah, remember when they did that in the 70s? They did that in the 70s.
I can remember. I still remember that. I was a little boy, but I remember it.
Yeah. Paolo Destino says the World Health Organization and Klaus Schwab, they want us all poor and eating bugs. It's the truth. They do. And don't ask me why. What do they get out of it? I don't know. Control the population? Yes, Taylor C is right. There is a point of critical mass that's coming because more and more people are saying it privately. They won't say it out loud because they don't want to be, arrested. They don't want the thought police coming after. Because don't forget, we just had a thought, somebody was going to control language. It's getting bad, and I hope it happens. I really do. I hope it happens.
No, I do too. It needs to happen.
Here, look. Oh no, this is good. So Vera Demiris, my Albanian sister, she says, if you ask the people who voted for him, he cannot control the gas prices. Bullshit. The gas prices went up as soon as he started messing around with our oil.
We heard that early on, but when they dropped up like 5 cents once, then he did have control over it. And what a great job, Yeah. Oh, God.
It's tiresome. But yeah, if this show just doesn't happen anymore, you know why. And you can help me by patronizing the sponsors whenever possible. That's all I ask, because they'll keep advertising if they keep reaching a forward-leaning audience. Now, I'm not begging you. I'm just saying if it's appropriate to buy something from one of our sponsors versus somebody who doesn't sponsor on the show, please patronize our sponsors. Make it worth their while to keep the show going. Because, I hear from people all the time saying this show changed their lives, that show saved their lives. Well, now it's time the show needs you to save its life, because this economy is going to shut this show down after 16 years. I'm telling you, I'm getting prepared for it. All right, let's go for the first question here. And please post your comments and questions. I will get to all of them, I promise. So Sean McMillan says, let me get this here. A lot of big-name bodybuilders have died in recent years. Rich Piana, cocaine addict. I mean, I love this question because it's silly, but I get it. Sean Roden, Dallas McCarver, Cedric McMillan, John Meadows, Greg Kovacs, just to name a few. You and Carl always downplay the role of anabolics in that. Do you stand by your opinion? Of fucking course. There are literally millions of guys on anabolic steroids right now. We don't have the millions of deaths. The deaths you're seeing are equivalent to the death. There are 30-year-old women dying in record numbers right now from blood clots.
Yeah.
They're not taking anabolic steroids. Why isn't anybody asking questions about this otherwise very healthy class of fucking the population? They're all dying of blood clots. Why?
Yeah. Or athletes.
Steroids?
Athletes collapsing.
Yeah, 20-year-old athletes collapsing on the field all the time. We have a record number of deaths right now. That the insurance companies are worried because if it stays like this, they're going to collapse.
I work for 2 of them. I know. it's true. It is true. But as far as like big name bodybuilders dropping, there's no question. I don't keep up with it all the time, but there's no question that a lot of them, let's say a lot more, prior to decades earlier, seem to be dying in what most people would consider to be before their time. But now for the general public who they're ignorant on these matters, it is a tempting and easy answer to say, it was the steroids. He shouldn't have been on steroids. Steroids killed him. In the general public, a large percentage of them actually will believe that, because it is a comfortable, easy answer. The facts, though, are a lot more complex in almost every case. There are usually a multitude of factors contributing to death. So as an example, first off, we've got many more people involved today in bodybuilding, and de facto more, to your point, using anabolics. But where the mass dropping of bodies like we're seeing post-vaccine, frankly, they're not there. So if it was just steroids, you would see this much higher incidence rate across the board, and I can't find it anyway.
They're not pushing the vaccine anymore. If you notice, I don't know if you noticed this, but apparently there's The original vaccine from Pfizer that was approved is not what they ended up producing. It just came out. And now, like, there's no one's promoting the vaccine anymore. Just like just like that, just
My
like that.
my
If you
my quick prediction on that is this: the busiest medical offices in the near future will be vaccine injury treatment clinics, which there are none today because that's a big no-no, right? But there will be in the future. Trust me. It's a lot. It's even worse than you've heard. So
Hey,
anyway,
real quick, Polo, please repost the question here because I can't go through the emails and find it right now. So
yeah.
please repost the question and we will get to it today. I promise.
So that was one example of a death. Like what is it, Dallas McCarver? Here's a guy that had it's come out since a tremendous amount of pre-existing conditions.
Yeah,
And
he had a congenital heart problem.
look, when you've got heart disease in the family, high blood pressure in the family, bad cholesterol profile in the family, and you're using rumored insane amounts of gear, but even without the insane amounts, you are asking for it. You are absolutely asking for it with a family history like that. Other people like Piana, yeah, he used steroids. He was very open about that. But he also used, at least rumored, a lot of other substances, including PMMA, which is what the new synthol, growth hormone, and even lipstick and colored contact lenses. So it's not as easy as saying, well, steroids killed him in that instance going in. There was also talk that he snorted some sort of powder shortly before dropping dead. I think we can all speculate as to what that might be. Men like Greg Kovacs and McMillan, we're talking about guys that were, Kovacs' case, he was over 400 pounds in the off season walking around, 300 plus for McMillan, and a lot of others, quite frankly. And that is a lot of strain on the heart. And so if you go in that condition, let's say, for years or decades with these extreme body weights, I honestly think that's one of the primary causes to an early death in bodybuilding. Is just these people are carrying weight around that their musculoskeletal system was never meant to carry. Now, it's also true that there are non-steroidal compounds in the mix today. We all know growth hormone, insulin, IGF-1, but also, they're using synthol still. Certainly, diuretics are an extremely dangerous class of drugs that is used. And also, you need to know a lot of bodybuilders, the ones you never hear about, die from natural causes. Okay, although I'll grant you probably less today than in Arnold's day. But then again, there are so many more of them. Why don't we hear about that? Bodybuilder X died of natural causes. That's not a sensationalized story. It doesn't sell as many, right, papers or hits or whatever. So with all of those things and more contributing to cause of death, I'm not sure how you can credibly say steroids killed him. If you're going to go down that road, it would be more accurate to say, in some cases, polypharmacy, or perhaps polypharmacy plus.
But that's not what killed these guys. It's not. I mean, look,
No, I
no,
understand.
I know. I'm just saying, but for the guy who asked the question, it's like polypharmacy kills old people. That's polypharmacy. When they put your grandfather on 8 different medications at the end of his life and insist that he
Right.
takes them every day and he dies because his kidneys fucking fail. That's polypharmacy. The bodybuilders aren't dying because of the drugs that they do. And a lot of them do a lot of recreational drugs. So you're going to blame the cocaine with Rich Piana? Rich Piana was doing blow the day that he ended up going to the hospital and dying. Like, nobody talks about the blow. Oh, yeah, no, it's the anabolic steroids only. It's not the blow. Come on. This is bullshit, folks. Look, we talked about John Meadows. John Meadows insisted that he would never get the vaccine. But then, apparently, he had to because he's a coach on a football team, and they made him get it. He already had a heart problem. I mean, we have to stop giving the mainstream ammunition to blame anabolic steroids for what's happening because of other reasons.
Yeah.
It's this nonsense.
In
Look,
in in most cases, it is not accurate or credible to blame anabolics as the sole reason, or even a reason. Period.
Polo, I can't access on air at superhumanradio.net during the show. If you want to try to post the question here in pieces, that's great. But there's no way for me to go and retrieve an email right now during the show. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't. And this is a really good point. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in America today. And the reality is that most of that is the result of metabolic disease, but they don't talk about it. They just say it's heart disease. It's not. It's metabolic disease. Yeah, it's
Syndrome X.
diabetes. That's what's killing. That's why people have heart problems today. Russ Scala made a comment. He said, we're learning that the vax causes endothelial dysfunction. Soon we will learn COVID is more of a cardiovascular disease. Yeah, I know. I got the book, The Clot Thickens. I actually had a wonderful long conversation with the author about 3 weeks ago with Ron Penna. But yeah, this is what we're seeing in the number of deaths today in a variety of groups of the population can only be attributed to this pandemic. It can. I don't care if maybe it was the vaccine, maybe it was people who got COVID and it caused the problems with their blood vessels and clotting. But this has nothing to do with anabolic steroids. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. The next question comes from Mel Phillips. I have anxiety and Kratom helps a lot. My doctor wants me on Alprazolam. That's a beta blocker, I believe. Instead, what's your opinion?
Actually, I think it's a lorazepam. But in any case, so first things first, right? I'm not a doctor. My advice should not be used in place of seeing a doctor, etc., etc. Now, having said that, I have used both compounds, and so at least I can offer my opinion. So let's talk about Kratom first. Kratom is what I would call a functional solution that someone with anxiety can benefit from, meaning most people who use it can still function and go to work. A lot of guys use it as a pre-workout because there's just a feeling of wanting to be productive. It's tough to quantify, but that's what it is. In fact, in Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and other parts of the world where it's from, farmers there much prefer to hire workers who chew kratom leaves versus those who smoke weed. And again, that's in large part because it improves mood, motivation, and productivity. Now, I never used pot, so I can't tell you. I can't speak from experience there. But if THC is anything like Delta 8 THC, I can understand why. You give me 2 Delta 8 gummies, and I'm on that couch and I'm not getting up. I don't feel like doing a damn thing unless watching television, right, qualifies as an event. So, there's that to consider. Now, let's talk about Alprazolam or whatnot. It's a benzo, I think. I never use this for long, but I'll never forget it. I really dislike these drugs, the class of drugs. And so it was almost 10 years ago. I was having difficulty sleeping and I was anxious. I think it was when I was going through my divorce. And I had, a tough time. And they prescribed me some lorazepam, something to that same class. And I had big problems almost right away with my short-term memory. And then after that, short and long-term memory.
And strength. Did you notice how they affect strength? Benzos kill your strength.
No, I have to go back and look at my logbooks. That's an interesting question. But the memory issues, man, here's how bad they were. I would go to the supermarket. I would go inside to do my shopping, and I could not remember what it was that I wanted and needed to buy. Now, you can argue most people need a shopping list, but not me. I mean, I had a very short list because for the last decade, I had been eating pretty much the same foods at the same times, right? That's one of the things that we just do, people who strength train. And incredibly, I forgot what many of those were. And so if that wasn't bad enough, I could not for the life of me figure out where I parked my car. In some cases, I walked around for hours looking for it, and I'm not joking. I mean, that really happened. Um, so, given the choice between the two, Kratom, in my opinion, far superior, certainly for the anti-anxiety purpose. But still, there's a problem. You cannot and should not use it every day. It can be habit forming. How? Well, I mean, anything that improves mood, who doesn't want to feel better, right? And pretty soon it's who doesn't want to feel better every day. And so, you're using it every day. And that leads to dependency issues in most people. I happen to be an exception. I can and have cold turkeyed it after using it for months to not using it for months, and there weren't issues. However, um, definitely the exception rather than the rule. So there's that. Two, it doesn't agree with everyone. There's a small subset of the population that can take a very small amount of kratom and they get sick. And sick as in, they'll throw it back up, which incidentally is the worst thing that can happen if you take too much kratom. But that dependency issue it's for that reason that I redid and use Tranquillogen 3 or 4 days a week on those days when I don't use Kratom. Now, no, it doesn't give me the same feeling as Kratom. But yes, I feel it's a useful adjunct in staying functional on those days when you're not using Kratom or quote unquote other stuff. Here's the bottom line. I really dislike the prescription benzos. I'm not telling you to ditch your doctor's advice. I would personally ask to try maybe the compound first, meaning the natural compound. Tell him you want to try natural compounds first. And if everything fails, then okay, you can go back to the doc talking about RX stuff. But we have a rather extensive variety of mood and adaptogen type products today that work. Now you can argue to what degree they work. Is it enough? But they work, and most of them are relatively inexpensive. If you do, unfortunately, go with the RX stuff, especially those benzos, it could be a long, long time before your memory comes back, and you lose it fast. And I'll tell you what, the drug companies knew it because you needed to look only at their rat studies on it. These rats could not find their way
back to the maze.
Yeah, they couldn't. They was just completely baffled. And so it's a little, that's scary to me. If that drug is doing that now, where are you going to be in 5 years, 10 years? Are you going to be more likely to have a problem like dementia? Hell yeah, I'd say so. So anyway, you can use Kratom, you can use a few other things. And again, I would look for natural solutions. Low dose GABA or glycine during the day. Ashwagandha, valerian, and kava, they're all excellent alternatives.
And we have a new sponsor coming aboard. JW Ross they have a blend of Kratom and kava mixed together.
Oh, wow.
It's called Botanic Tonics. I use a half a bottle instead of going out and having alcohol.
Right.
And I feel great. There's no pain in my body.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. We'll have it up on the website within the next week. And I hope you guys give it a try because this stuff's amazing.
And a well-done kava, by the way, is excellent. It might not have the punch that Kratom does, but then again, it's not too far off the mark. And it's not habit forming. It's not going to turn you into a zombie in the process, which is the other thing that a lot of the drugs that are prescribed for those conditions will do. I mean, you just
and a lot of people want to say, "Oh, well, Kratom, it's addictive." No, well, none of you do it once a weekend. I mean, if you do it every single day, you can become dependent on not feeling pain.
Right.
Like, oh my God, like this, I feel so good.
And
Yeah,
if you're in
you could get used to that. Yeah.
if you're in no pain to start with, imagine how good it feels.
I
So
want to I want to put this question up by Roger Paget real quick, and then we're going to take a break, and then we got a long question from Polo Dustino that we will get work into. Roger Paget asks, "How about the correlation between tanked estrogen levels in men and heart attacks?"
well,
I think it's quite the other way.
low estrogen and heart attacks.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think that's the problem with the American population, Roger. I think the problem with the American man today is his estrogen levels are too high, and high estrogen it hurts the heart of men.
and we
It's
know
like high testosterone hurts the heart of women. A lot of female bodybuilders.
testosterone is protective. And so what happens, and we know we have an epidemic of men with low testosterone. So you tell me what's driving the heart disease, you know?
Yeah, men with high estrogen, their hearts get screwed up, and I don't mean you're shooting 2 grams a week and your estrogen is elevated. I mean like guys who are just normal, everyday guys whose testosterone keeps plummeting year after year as they get fatter and fatter, and their estrogen levels go up higher and higher. There's probably a much stronger correlation between inappropriately elevated estradiol levels and heart problems in men. Really, I mean, women who use high levels of testosterone to compete, their hearts aren't designed for that level of testosterone like a man is.
Yep.
And so they suffer as well on the other side. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll work right into Paulo Dustino's long question. It's interesting. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is My Pillow. I've been sleeping with My Pillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have My Pillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/mypillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High quality, pasture raised, great tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose to tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/whiteoak and use the code superhuman to save 10% off your entire first order. If you've listened to Superhuman Radio for any length of time, you know I'm a big proponent of peptides. One of my favorites is GHKCU, the blue copper peptide. It has the ability to repair and regenerate more youthful expressions of skin cells, reversing the signs of aging. Restore Cell's Stem Cell Awakening Serum, along with their other products, contain potent formulations of blue copper peptide and only the highest quality organic ingredients. Superhuman Radio listeners can now save 25% site-wide. Buy their complete set and receive a free exfoliating cleanser. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. Remodel your skin today.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Hey, welcome back. Oh, we got a lot of questions and a lot of people want answers. So let's go to this question from Paolo Destino, and then we will get to Thomas Whittingham's question also about Creanabolin and Synthogen. Okay, so this is a three-part question. I'm going to read the whole thing. It says, you two have obviously made fitness and health one of, if not the main priority in your lives for quite some time. Rob started as a young man, while Carl started later in life. Fitness can be very cheap, but can reach high roller status. Jay Campbell has thrown out a few numbers over the years, starting with $2,000 per year and is now up to $10,000 a year. I don't know what he's spending his money on.
Right.
I mean, Jay's a nice guy, but I don't think he's super muscular or, I mean, he doesn't appear to me, Jay Campbell doesn't appear to me to be like a power lifter type or anything like that. So I don't know what he's spending his money on. In your experiences, what role did finance play in your fitness journey? It also seems lots of lifters are very entrepreneurial. Is there a strong link between fitness and independent business? I thought it might be a neat topic to dive deep into as well. Okay, so I mean, does it have to be an expensive proposition? I don't think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It depends, right, on what you're spending your money on. Frankly, most people spend the most on supplements. And I think they know deep down they're not getting a good return on their investment. You know, do you need to belong to a gym that's, $50 or $100 a month when you can put one in your cellar for a very nominal fee, or even more Spartan body weight exercise? And so looking back, I would tell you that a lot of that money, in my case, was either wasted or could have been put into better areas. One thing I did do was I always allotted a certain amount of money every month for education. So I was ordering this program, ordering that program. Back in the day when there were classified ads in the back of Muscle Mag and they had, best neck growth routine, whatever. I ordered all of them, and I'm glad I did, because there were some gems there and I made some huge progress. But now it's like you said, you can make it as expensive or as cheap as necessary.
I'll never forget after Ronnie Coleman won the Arnold one year, and I had a VIP pass, so I went to the after the Arnold Sunday morning. Whoever won usually put on a seminar. I saw Nasser El Simbadi do it. And so one day, it was Ronnie Coleman. And so he was answering questions about training and, and all that sort of stuff. And so some guy asked him, hey, Ronnie, what's your post-workout drink?
Yeah, I remember this.
And he said, I usually have chicken breasts. I have chicken breasts and baked beans, he said.
Yeah.
And the guy said to him, well, haven't you heard about the anabolic window? And, Coleman is a simple man. I mean, he really is a simple guy. Like, in life is simple.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that? And the guy says, well, exactly 1 hour after you finish training, the anabolic window, and you got to have 40 grams of whey protein and 80 grams of dextrose and a little bit of R-alpha lipoic acid and some creatine monohydrate. And you got to get that in you. You got to get it in right away. And he chuckled and he goes, "Oh, I'll give it a try." Like, in other words, he wasn't doing that. He didn't build that physique worrying about 80 grams of dextrose and 40 grams of protein and oh, I got to get this drink in right away. He was eating chicken breasts and baked beans after working out.
Yeah, he knew instinctively you eat big to get big.
But he laughed. He laughed. He laughed. He chuckled. You know, he was like, "Oh, I have to give that a try." Like I haven't done it. I'm the biggest, strongest bodybuilder we've ever seen on this planet, and I'm not using anything like that to get there. And, you know, that moment it was like it really crystallized for me. You know, so many of us are trying to make up for not really working as hard as we can, not really getting our sleep right, not really getting, you know, eating every 3 hours, not really doing all these other things by taking this supplement or that supplement. It doesn't work. The basics work. The basics work. The basics work. The basics work. Now, if you want to spend extra money on creatine, I got no problem with that. Creatine's good stuff. If you want to spend extra money, you know, on try out some supplement because you're cutting, you know, fine. But the reality is that it doesn't have to be expensive at all. And gym memberships are cheap now, $9.95 for a gym membership.
Yeah, I mean, in this sport, I would tell you simplicity is your friend. Hard to go wrong. Hard to go wrong because you're not going to wind up majoring in the minors. In other words, you know, what form of creatine taken with what. No, get your 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day in and lift big. It's not that complex.
And how many of us have seen guys who've come out of prison ripped and muscular,
Right.
like, and they're eating, and the quality of food is shit. They're eating trays of macaroni and cheese, and any way they can get calories, and they're in there, they're locked up in their room, in their cell, you know, 10 hours a day, and all they're doing is mad numbers of push-ups and body weight squats and dips, and it's like, wait a minute, really? And these guys look like that, and then you're going to go spend $1,000 a month on supplements, and you look like shit.
Yeah, what's the problem here? Right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I get it. Look, you know, the older I get, the less I take. I know. And part of me feels disingenuous because I'm promoting sponsors on this show that sell supplements, and that doesn't mean that supplements suck. But are they necessary? Ask a guy who just got out of prison after 7 years, who's ripped and muscular, who's been surviving on macaroni and cheese every day,
Right.
and ask him, you know, like Ronnie Coleman. What about your post-workout drink, Ronnie? Yeah, I'll give it a try. You know, I mean, really, we should all feel stupid. You want to know the God's honest truth? Because all the supplements and the thousands of dollars you're going to spend on stuff, it's not going to make up for the fact that you don't work hard enough, you don't eat right, you don't sleep right.
No, there's no pill for that.
No.
Yet.
So here, let's get this question in from Thomas Whittingham.
Yep.
He says, can you please ask Rob to speak to Synthogen versus Anabolin, 747 from Mass Pro? That was my question from last week. Thank you.
So what this is a tale of two actisterones. Actually, the tale of the same exact Raponticum extract in both products. So you know, one versus the other. Anabolin is a complex of, I think it's crealkaline, Raponticum carthamoids, the largest amount in a single pill, I think, on the market. 4-hydroxyisoleucine and one other thing, I can't remember what it is. Whereas Synthogen is a matrix of 16, 17 different ingredients. So what's the difference, and why would you take what, you know, which one? Anabolin is better if you're on a bulk. It's just going to serve you better. You're still going to get the recovery, but you're going to do much better in terms of actually putting muscle on, assuming the caloric excess is there. Synthogen, on the other hand, if you are cutting or recomping, it is custom made for that purpose. It's more expensive, but it is much, much better at the recomp cut game. That's not to say you can't use it on a bulk, and however you use it, you will feel it more in terms of the recovery department. Another, you guys know what I'm talking about who use it, right? You take it before, maybe during your workout, and the next day you get up and you're like, wow, did I even train? Creanobolin, you get a little bit of that, but it just does a much better job, in my opinion, shunting the calories you do eat towards muscle and away from fat. But both are excellent products. Probably the two best, I would say, ecdy products on the market. And he's got them,
So Richard Miller, the fitness freak who trains while he watches the show live. Thank you for that. He says, hello from Fort Worth. Update. I asked you guys how to go about asking my doctor for testosterone to get an optimal level a month ago. Being that I'm 47 and my levels are 507, to my surprise, she was open-minded and she will help me achieve this. Now my question is, which is better out of my doctor 3 options she gave me? Injectable, pellets, and a new nose spray. Stay away from the nose spray.
that's an easy question.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to get enough in your nose to circulate into your body. I would just go with injectable. I really would. And at least once a week. Do not go once every 2 weeks. Doctors, I have yet to meet a doctor who understands the pharmacokinetics of testosterone cypionate. They think if they give you an injection of 200 milligrams on a Monday, that by next Monday, that's all delivered. And that's not how it works. The cypionate and the enanthate ester are almost identical. The enanthate ester produces just a tad more estradiol. And I like enanthate for that reason, by the way. And as a result, 50% of the dose will be delivered in the first 4 days. So think about it. You got 250 milligrams of testosterone cypionate or enanthate, and only 80% of that is actually testosterone. The rest of it is the ester,
Right.
by weight. So instead of 250, you got maybe 190 or so milligrams of testosterone. 50% of that will be released within the first 4 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now you have a dip. And that dip will last 24 days. So now, if you got half of the one, let's just round it up to 200 in the first 4 days, that means the other 100 is going to come out minuscule amounts over the course of the next 24 days. And this is why it's best to inject twice a week, every 4th day. Whatever your dose is, split it in half and do it every 4th day. But at worst, once a week. I'm lazy. I just inject it once a week now. I just, you know what? Yeah.
I'm the same way. You know, it's an easy question to answer. Injectables, 100% all the way. You've got a choice of cypionate and enanthate. As you pointed out, there are subtle differences. Personally, I don't think an individual would know which is which, if you blinded them. But it's going to, like you said, release in that fashion. What is it, 4 days, 50% of it's gone, and then long, slow tail to it, so to speak.
Yeah, and that long, slow tail, if your doctor insists on giving you a 250 milligram injection every 2 weeks because in her mind, you're going to get 125 a week, that's not true. And those last 24 days, you're going to be getting 4 or 5 milligrams a day. And that's what little girls have.
Yeah, and when it's new, right? You're shooting twice a week is no big deal. As a matter of fact, you can't wait, right, to your next shot. But as time goes on, it wears on you. I'm personally at a point where, God, I wish I didn't have to stick myself on a regular basis to have optimal testosterone levels. And so you may find yourself going to once a week dosing. The only other wrinkle I can think of, and you probably know more about this, is sub-Q versus intramuscular.
So sub-Q, unless I've given up on the sub-Q testosterone project because I have bigger fish to fry. With that being said, hold on, sorry. Sub-Q is okay, but most people end up with whelps, lumps. When the benzyl alcohol hits the fats, the sub-Q fat, it necrotizes it, turns it into a hard lump that lasts months sometimes. So for that reason, sub-Q is, and believe me, I'm going to say something and people are going to say bullshit, but I'm the first person to ever start talking about sub-Q. I talked about it on this show probably 12 years ago, 11 or 12 years ago, and Dr. John Chrysler told me not to do it. It was a bad idea. And I've been so long, it's just, I got tired of being a pincushion. I thought, I'm just going to put it under the fat here. What the hell? And I started doing it because I was lazy. But I'll tell you what, one of the things that's a game changer. I've been injecting TRT-wise since 2007, and I was using PEDs before that. So I've been sticking needles in me for a long time now. And what I've discovered, thanks to my friend Bill Mitchell, is I've gone to a 5/8 inch needle.
Wow.
Just slightly longer than a half inch. Mm-hmm. And I push it in hard, okay, because it's not the 1.5 inches that everybody else is using. And while I'm pushing it in, I just take the heel of my hand and I push it in, and it's gone. So I like the new shallow intramuscular injection using a 5/8 inch needle. It's very, very convenient. You don't have to worry about hitting a nerve. Right. I used to hate that when I used to shoot my quads, and I'd get that 1.5 inch needle in there, and all of a sudden the muscle would start dancing, like I touched an electrical current.
Yeah,
I hate that.
It does happen from time to time, and it still weirds you out, even after years and years of being on
I
TRT.
never get used to it. I still get nervous when I'm a couple minutes before I'm running. I'm still like, it's like nothing ever happens, but still.
Right.
Richard Miller says, thanks for all the great knowledge you guys give me and share with the people. You might save or even improve someone's life. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. That's why I keep struggling to keep this show going. It's not easy, especially in this. Let's see here. Thomas Whittingham said, thank you. And Horned Frog. He said, thank you. He says, Horned Frog says, in my opinion, it's not one versus the other. I have been taking both Synthogen and Anabolin for the past several years. So there you go.
Wow.
He thinks that you need both of them.
Yeah, you got ecdysterone coming out of your ears, brother.
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
And so Polo Destino says a 27 gauge needle doesn't hurt. No, I think I use a 5/8 inch 23 or 24. I think I don't even feel it anymore. I'm so much happier that I've gone to a 5/8 inch needle. I can't tell you. I just don't get the level of angst. It's so little, and you got to really push it in and make a dent in your muscle almost to get all the way in there. Right. But that makes it easier to just get the plunger on the heel of your hand and just go shoot, and it just goes right in. And that's it. Let's see here. This is let's see here. And that long, slow tail is really long if you suffer with depression. Yes, you're right. I've been very depressed. I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about the show, and I can't get back to sleep. I did it last night. I've been up since 3:35 today.
I came off test once for a month, and what I noticed was this. I was all good for about 3 weeks, close to 3 weeks. The drop-off after that was god-awful.
Yeah.
That's when, again, no energy. My mood was the most noticeable thing. Boy, did my mood tank. I was miserable to be around. And you start to realize, hey, it doesn't just affect me, it affects people around me. Double.
I took off last month. I didn't inject for 3 weeks just to give myself a reset.
Right.
I was so emotional. I felt like I was going to cry constantly. It was the weirdest thing. And I thought, I got to give myself a shot. As soon as I gave myself that shot, the next day I felt normal again.
That's funny.
Yeah. We take it for granted what this stuff does for us.
Yeah.
You want to find out what it does for you? If you've been on TRT for a few years, take off for 3 weeks and watch what happens.
Yeah.
Watch what happens. You'll be right back on, and you won't miss a day. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
How often do you wake up in the morning and instantly wish you had just another hour of sleep? Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or you have brain fog. Your energy is low, or you just can't concentrate. You run for coffee or an energy drink, but that barely moves the needle. Imagine having control over how you feel and being able to just flip a switch and turn on your brain within 10 minutes of waking up without coffee or caffeine. I've personally experienced this over the past few months since trying Newtopia. Newtopia is the most advanced brain support and cognitive enhancement system that I've ever tried. It's like a chemistry set for your brain. Newtopia specializes in personalized brain supplements, also known as nootropics. Newtopia has raised the bar on the nootropic category beyond anything that exists today. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Newtopia. That's NOOTOPIA and enter the code SHR10 for an additional 10% off. You will not be disappointed in this product. Are you 35 or older? Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. This affects everything from making it harder to recover from workouts, sleep, and a general loss of a sense of well-being. It also affects your ability to get and stay lean. BioPro Plus is the first of its kind, 100% non-synthetic alternative to prescription synthetic growth hormone treatments. All the benefits without any of the needles or side effects and 100% safe. Previously only available through doctors, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/biopro, that's BIOPRO, and use code SHR30 for $30 off today. Most people have heard of phytoestrogens, but did you know there are beneficial phytoandrogens? The top source of these is pine pollen. It even contains trace amounts of testosterone and DHEA. If you're looking for a 100% natural testosterone booster, this is worth trying. Lots of men love it, and it even works for women. Lost Empire Herbs offers the highest quality wild harvested, non-irradiated pine pollen backed by a 365-day money-back guarantee. It works for you, or you don't have to pay for it with nothing to send back. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Lost Empire. Use code SHR. Get 15% off your order today. Are you suffering from signs of an unhappy gut? Diversity is the key to healthy, robust inner ecosystem. Body Ecology probiotic liquids are made by fermenting organic seeds, biodynamic brown rice, and chickpeas together to create a diverse culture found nowhere else on Earth. It's the secret to restoring your gut's microbiome for a healthier digestive tract, improved immune function, and longevity. Take 20% off by visiting the website shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco. shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco. That's BODYECO. And using the code SHR20. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. If you've listened to Superhuman Radio for any length of time, you know I'm a big proponent of peptides. One of my favorites is GHKCU, the blue copper peptide. It has the ability to repair and regenerate more youthful expressions of skin cells, reversing the signs of aging. Restore Cell's Stem Cell Awakening Serum, along with their other products, contain potent formulations of blue copper peptide and only the highest quality organic ingredients. Superhuman Radio listeners can now save 25% site-wide. Buy their complete set and receive a free exfoliating cleanser. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. Remodel your skin today.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
I got to give a shout out to a sponsor, and that's Sheath Underwear. These are the single best underwear I've ever used. They're game changers. Nothing new has been done in men's underwear until this company comes along. They actually have a double pouch so you can keep stuff separated, especially when it's hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm like, why didn't someone else think of this? You know, we've always had the one communal pouch where, you know, the twig and berries just get squished together in there like that. And now this guy, Robert Patton, came up with an amazing design. And really, every time a guy buys Sheath underwear, he never wears any other underwear ever again. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Sheath Underwear, SheathUnderwear, and use the code Superhuman for 20% off. And the designs are awesome. I love all the different camo style. You got to check them out. They're fantastic. Sheath Underwear.
Even if it's for the gym only, it will be well worth it.
Oh
God,
yeah, you know, I don't know about you, but like when I'm on the bike, sometimes I sit on one of my nuts. It's not comfortable at all.
No, I would imagine not.
Well, and now like they have their own pouch. They have their own room of their own. So no, it's very, very cool stuff. It's a you make me thinking, oh come on, Carl, what could be different about underwear? Get yourself a pair of Sheath underwear. You'll find out very, very quickly.
You got to wear it anyway.
Yeah, right. You got to wear underwear anyway. Let's see here. So this is from Andrew Michaels. He says, I really liked the 4 best supplements for prevention answer last week. If you were to list the 3 best for immune function, what would they be?
Well, immune function is a different category, I guess, than prevention, although you could also argue that they're related. So just for reference sake, last week I recommended for prevention ginger, curcumin, high bioavailable magnesium, and vitamin D, okay, as the top 4 in that category. This week the request is 3 to 4 for immunity. I'm going to lead with the same magnesium vitamin D combo, right?
And it's important that you say that, because the thing that gets depleted from a high stress lifestyle is magnesium. Magnesium has direct effect on your microbiome.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, and you can feel it. You can literally feel it, and so that's why those 2 are in the mix. They're also together for other reasons, such as to ensure better bioavailability. Meaning, you know, some people can do take large amounts of vitamin D, 5,000 IU and up, but their vitamin D levels don't budge. Right? They get it tested and not going anywhere, hasn't moved. Now you take that same person, have them co-ingest it with a highly bioavailable magnesium, and boom, their 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels soar. Big difference, night and day. Not everyone needs that, but you know, think about it logically. Magnesium's involved in 300 plus enzymatic reactions anyway. And we know vitamin D underlies hundreds, if not thousands, as well. So, thus my recommendation there. Item number 3 on my list would be N-acetylcysteine, and it's not just because it's under the gun by the FDA, which, in my opinion, is still kind of debatable. But it's there because it has a multitude of other benefits, such as boosting glutathione, right? Extremely important. Your body's most prolific endogenous antioxidant. Underlies a lot. Anti-inflammatory function, antioxidant, anti-thrombotic. It reduces respiratory symptoms in chronic lung diseases like COPD. It acts as an antiviral in some cases, etc., etc. It's just, the list just keeps going. The glutathione boost is particularly important because it has a lot of downstream benefits, right? It's kind of the catalyst for other good things happening in the body, and by the way, the body's ability to deal with bad things. So you see this, for example, first line treatment in the hospital when somebody shows up for acetaminophen overdose. Now granted, they will give it IV. However, I've also seen studies where If given orally within the first 8 to 10 hours of overdose, it works just as fast and just as well as IV. So just something to ponder. It is, as I said earlier, on the FDA's radar. However, it is still available and still highly economical, especially for all that it does. So I would recommend grabbing it while you can. And most recommendations are between 600 and 1200 milligrams a day. That's the usual recommendation. Although I do think there's merit in going higher in some instances, which leads me to the fourth and final suggestion, which would be vitamin C. Gram amounts of vitamin C absolutely need to be considered here. Anyone interested in optimal immune function should be using it, and lots of it, especially if you're infected. There is indisputable evidence that the immune system, when under stress, chews through a ton of vitamin C, much, much more than if you were not infected with something. I have repeatedly seen people and myself gotten over colds and otherwise have fewer symptoms than they otherwise would. Okay, I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in my wife, I've seen it in my son, I've seen it in friends, I've seen it in customers. It's just almost every time. In fact, I have seen more than once and experienced more than once literally an overnight recovery, full recovery, in the event vitamin C is megadosed as soon as symptoms appear and is used to bowel tolerance. Let's just say, if it puts you in the bathroom, you know your system is getting saturated with it. There are also well-known cases in the literature of severely ill hospital patients making full recoveries, maybe not overnight, but when these people are given high amounts of IV vitamin C, there are staggering case reports in the literature. I think it's Dr. Richard.
Do you know what sepsis is?
Yeah, it's
blood
it's
poisoning.
Particularly bad, yeah.
Blood poisoning. And sepsis usually kills people.
Right.
But you know what completely obliterates sepsis? IV vitamin C.
Yeah. It's as a salvage treatment. Frankly, I'm shocked that it's not used more. I guess I shouldn't be, because doctors just don't want to use it. They don't believe in it. In some cases, you'll get stupid, justifications or explanations. Well, it's too expensive, right? Some people that are late stage COVID, the family's like, can we try IV vitamin C? No, it's too expensive. Oh, but remdesivir's fine, right? That comes cheap. No, it's just fantastic stuff. So those are your Fab 4 for immunity. Magnesium, highly bioavailable form, or ideally forms, because they are all a little bit different. Vitamin D, D3, N-acetylcysteine, and gram quantities of vitamin C. And look, all of these things are still readily available and inexpensive. So I would tell you, make the most of it while you can, because there's a good chance, I think, at some point they do remove N-acetylcysteine. It just depends on the timing of the surprise prescription drug that companies are getting ready to market. And so they want to take, supplemental NAC out of our hands. And just
Horn Frog wants to know if what's going on in Russia is affecting the Repanticum extract availability.
Wow, what a great question. We're going to find out in August because real Repanticum is harvested once a year, and it's in August every year. So I guess for those companies that are working on a day-to-day, so to speak, model, as opposed to they bought deep and still have a lot of Repanticum bulk raws left over, it's going to be very telling. It's going to be very telling.
So Polo Dustino, part of the long question he asked ended up with this summary, and it's really a good question. He says, could you talk about the link between lifting, fitness, and entrepreneurship? I remember when I first discovered I could save my own life with weightlifting, I remember saying to myself, how can I get paid to do this for a living? Like because the fitness lifestyle is such a departure from the average lifestyle. So what's the average lifestyle? You go to work 8 hours, you got kids, you can take them to soccer, you're a family person. And like when do you live the fitness lifestyle? You don't. And if you try to, unless your partner is on this journey with you, they'll get aggravated. I mean, part of the reason I'm divorced is because I decided to save my life instead of being a big fat slob and easing into illness. And I was already ill. So it wasn't like, well, were you going to get ill? Yeah, I was already ill. They were already talking about pacemaker for me. I was only 39 years old. But the reality is that when you realize how good you feel, when you realize that a lot of the diseases that the doctors are telling you have go away on their own, when you start focusing on training, eating, sleeping. Like sleeping was a big one. That pissed my ex-wife off the most because I had to get up in the morning with the kids to take them to school. So I felt that I needed to go to sleep earlier so I could get my 8 hours sleep because I had trained hard that day and I ate every 3 hours and I was doing everything and I wanted to cash in. I
Did
wanted
that
to.
upset her?
Oh God, yes. She used to purposely wake me up. She used to come into the bedroom and turn on the lights and then leave. Then I started wearing the eye covers and then I started wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
The kids used to joke and say, "Dad's in his apartment," because I blocked out the world. And
Right.
so, but I remember thinking, I got to make this my job because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to stay healthy. I'm not going to be able to continue to get strong. I'm not going to be able to lose body fat. I'm not going to be able to do all those things because I will only be able to do them as a secondary or tertiary event in my life because I have to go to work and I have to pay the bills and I have to take the kids. And so I think entrepreneurship almost becomes a necessity for many of us in order to be able to justify how much time we're spending training ourselves and getting healthy.
Yeah, I think it's a fair statement to say that people involved in strength training are certainly more likely to be entrepreneurs. And why is that? Well, you know what it's like. You know what the sacrifices you make to build your body. Building a business has a lot of parallels. It might not be the exact same thing, but people in the gym, look, they understand the value of hard work. They understand having goals. They understand making sacrifices. A lot of these things are foreign, to people who don't train. And so I would tell you that, yeah, I think entrepreneurs, a lot of them have come from the strength training side. And look, that carries over. All of those benefits carry over into your other areas of life, and consequently, you're better off for it, and the people around you are. So,
And it's really funny because um, the guy that my ex-wife married is like so sick. And I'm not saying that. I'm not taking any joy in it. He's really a nice guy. But I mean, like he's already had like open heart surgery and I mean, and that's who she feels comfortable with. She feels comfortable with somebody who isn't really living life. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to live life. I wanted to be able to run and do things at an advanced age. I wasn't satisfied with just easing into life. And so it was the right thing for both of us. She's with somebody that she's more appropriate with. I'm with somebody who's more, I mean, Elisa trains and goes to sleep early. And like she and I, we have a symbiotic relationship. I don't have to say, oh, we need to get to sleep. Like she's the first one to say, let's get to sleep at 9 tonight because I want to get up early and do cardio in the morning. Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's an old saying, the couple that trains together stays together.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I think it's 100% true.
Yeah.
I really do. if somebody resents you for going to the gym and drinking protein shakes and, adhering to, strict programs or protocols in an effort to be better, no matter what, just to be better, whether that's a better person, better strength athlete, if they resent you, it's not going to last long. And I'm speaking from experience. My first marriage was the same thing. When one person grabs a protein shake and goes to the gym, and the other one grabs a remote and a bag of chips and goes to the couch, it ain't gonna last.
No,
And
no.
it didn't. So
Craig Hollander points out that NAC is excluded from the dietary supplement definition and leaves open potential rulemaking to allow the use of NAC in dietary supplements. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means the FDA is going to try to take it away from us, or that it's going to continue to be a supplement. I don't know.
it's an interesting question because for 30 years, NAC has been on the market with no problems whatsoever. I think it has GRA status, generally recognized as safe. And it has all of these benefits. And so there's that history. I think what they're trying to, the rule that they're trying to apply is that N-acetylcysteine isn't found naturally occurring, right? It's an acetyl group attached to the amino acid cysteine. And they've already pulled this once with picomelin, I think it was, which was GABA bound to niacin. And so they came in and they said, hey, yeah, GABA is an amino acid naturally occurring, but not when it's bound to niacin. It's illegal. And they effectively, got it removed from the market. Will that happen here? I sure hope not. But look, we all know why they're doing it. It's to protect big pharma. It's the same movie, different characters. That's all, every time. I've seen it for the last 35 years. Sad.
Cysteine itself is naturally occurring.
Right.
In eggs and cruciferous vegetables. I wonder how easy it is for it to become acetylated, and whether or not it needs to be acetylated to actually see the benefits from it.
Yeah.
It's excluded, meaning it can be removed. Okay, thank you.
The actual warning letters that went out were to companies marketing it as a hangover remedy. And so that's a claim that you can cure some or treat some condition or disease, and that is certainly illegal by the letter of the law. But that's what it was for. So does it get expanded? I think ultimately it does. I know for a fact not long ago, maybe 2 months ago, the FDA put out a ruling indicating some verbiage to the following effect. It's not really legal as a dietary supplement. We reserve the right to take action in the future. Well, okay. So, translated, I think that means it'll be around for a little while longer.
But think about why the FDA wants to get rid of it for a second. Like, it doesn't hurt anybody. There's no overdoses. You couldn't take enough to like poison yourself. So now let's look at the other side. Well, it seems to be beneficial for people with COPD. Elisa was taking it this weekend because she was congested. It breaks up your congestion. So why would the FDA want to limit people's access to something that is only good? It doesn't do anything bad. Well, that's why, because it does good things that could be charged for by the pharmaceutical industry, which the FDA is really carrying water for.
In fact, it's even a little worse than that. And by that, I mean there are multiple studies showing how beneficial N-acetylcysteine is in the treatment and the prevention of COVID-19. And if you don't believe me, Google it on PubMed. You'll see. And how could it not be? Right? It's an amazing expectorant. It's an antiviral. It's an anti-inflammatory, so it'll manage the cytokine storm phase of the disease. As an antiviral, that's the first stage. And as far as the pulmonary stage, it does prevent blood clots. So you couldn't come up with a better compound.
Supplement, a natural supplement.
Yeah. Yep.
And not a drug. Instead of taking a last break, we're going to roll right into Yeah. Craig Hollander says the FDA wants to limit access to NAC because it's being used to help COVID symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
It's criminal.
I wish somebody would make a movie about the American population getting tired of having this kind of stuff done to them and them actually lashing out. You know, I wish there was a movie about I wish there was a movie about a bunch of retired snipers who decided to take matters into their own hands and start capping the skulls of the scumbag politicians that are making our lives miserable for their own personal benefit. Wouldn't that be a great movie where, like, the whole movie is just these guys plotting out locations a mile away from this event, and then there would be like this really evil woman. She's like the Speaker of the House, and she's destroying America. And one morning, the top of her head comes off mysteriously. It's just like poof, it's gone. And the people cheer because it's like good. The bad guys are getting. Somebody ought to make a movie like that. You know, maybe Sly Stallone can come back with Rambo, and Rambo can pick up a sniper rifle and he can start capping these evil politicians that are destroying America. Wouldn't that be a great patriotic movie to go watch? I'd go watch it a couple times.
A lot of the footage is already out there with Project Veritas.
Yeah.
You know, they've got all the crime. So
Yeah. I love this. Sean Watson says your government at work for you as usual. Yeah, work against us. Work against us. Let's just go ahead and roll right into the blueprint tip of the day, Rob. What is the blueprint tip of the day?
tip of the day is about Bigarexia. Where does it end? And so the need to get bigger at all costs as fast as possible, I guess you'd say, is this week's topic. And it's something that I've been meaning to talk about now for a long time because it has, frankly, it's been the story of a lot of my life. But it also affects a lot of other people. So that was also a reason I wanted to discuss it. The process of getting bigger, right? Not just the tape measure makes bigger circles, but also weighing more, body weight, can have significant downsides associated with it, both short and long term. So witness, for example, today's first question about bodybuilding deaths and the role that carrying, let's say, 50 to 100 pounds more than what your frame was meant to for long periods of time, it plays a role, undeniably. If you still doubt that, you can go ahead and visit any nursing home of your choosing, and you're going to find there ain't many 200-pounders left by the time people are in their 90s, even 80s for that matter. It was a rare bird that I saw 200 pounds or even approaching 200 pounds. Now, gratefully, this problem isn't nearly as bad as it was in my day, right, in the 1980s for context. But it's still out there, so we need to talk about it. The condition itself, yes, there is a recognized medical condition now. It's called Bigarexia. And as you can imagine, as the name implies, it's the polar opposite of anorexia, and similarly classified as a body image disorder. I have it, but gratefully nothing like it used to be. It's characterized by a really warped image of yourself, where no matter how big and strong that you get, it's never enough. You still see, that skinny kid that started this whole journey. And so you don't see 243 pounds in the mirror, you see 143 pounds. And so a lot of this stuff stays with you, by the way. Even the word skinny still sets alarm bells off in my mind.
I remember when Aaron Singerman got ready for his first competition, and he dieted down, and he worked hard, and he got really, 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 really lean, very vascular. And I remember his mother, Lynn, she's such a sweet woman. She said, "Oh my God, you're so skinny." And I remember Aaron looking at her and looking at me and go, "Mom, don't ever call me skinny." Like he wasn't skinny. He was muscular. He was ripped. But to the average person, like if I can see your veins, you're skinny.
Yeah, they think they're giving you a
Like
compliment.
you call a guy who's been training for a few years and get ready for a competition and say he looks skinny, he'll commit suicide. He'll be like, "What did I do wrong? How did that happen?"
Yeah. Well, you're not kidding. I mean, a lot of guys can get really mentally screwed up if, somebody that hasn't seen them for a while is, "Hey, are you sick?" You know, did you are you slimming down for something? That'll really screw them up. So you're absolutely right. Now, I don't want you to think there are not upsides to maximizing, the amount of space that you take up on this planet. You will, in doing so, you will quite likely maximize your natural potential to build muscle. I went, for example, from 143 to 252, and I'm quite certain I would have never gotten there without this disorder and unrealistic role models. That helps too. Um, you got to think of it this way: what else drives a man to drink 2 cups of vegetable oil a day just to hit my 6,000
Dude,
calorie
you
goal?
had to crap your pants once or twice when you were doing that. You had.
You know what? After the body acclimates, after a week or two, it does get better. It gets a lot better. But don't get me wrong. I wouldn't do it again, knowing what I know now. But I knew 2 things. I needed calories. I didn't have a lot of money. Oil, 9 calories per gram. Can drink it. Thanks. That was it, man. 2 cups of vegetable oil, 8 scoops of chocolate via Pro whey protein, some ice shavings, and enjoy. There's 4,500 or so calories out of the way, and another 1,500 to knock down. So, but look, it will allow you to do things like that. But the same disorder haunted me, well into my late 40s, I would say. Um, Hopefully, that results in as much muscle as possible on your frame going into old age, which we know is strongly correlated to longevity. So all of these things, they're good things, right? Positive things. But the downsides can be far worse, and there are a lot of them. So, number one, heavy eating, or let's just tell it like it is, force feeding. Most people's stomach, intestines, digestion, elimination, and associated plumbing, so to speak, is not meant to process a constant onslaught of large amounts of food and calories. Generally every 2 to 3 hours, like we were all taught to eat and was told that this is how you do it. Um, and you eat until you can eat no more, and then you do eat more. You give it a half hour, you find you can stuff in a couple more forkfuls. If you are persistent and your training's on point, you'll gain weight. Although, you know, it's never going to be all muscle, right? At least in the genetically typical person. Hopefully, mostly muscle and a little bit of fat. However, the longer you overfeed, the more active the enzymes become that convert calories or shunt calories towards fat. So, instead of 80-20 muscle fat, it's 50-50 or worse. But as it happened in my case, if I stepped on the scale and I saw the number up, I I was happy as hell, man. That just made my day. It really did. Now, conversely, if I stepped on and the scale was the same, or God forbid, less, it actually sent me into a depression. So, those are the pillars of your psyche, so to speak, when you live to put on, as much muscle or as much size as possible. Once you're out of your 20s, the health issues start to show up, right? So it's well known in medical and other circles, when your weight goes up, so does your blood pressure, almost always. You're more likely, much more likely, to snore and have sleep apnea. And I just ordered a sleep study, by the way, or my doctor did, rather. Um, Other metabolic panels start to get worse. And increasingly, you detest, the grind. Not usually mentioned is the fact that you'll pay more for just about everything. I remember groceries, clothing, supplements. Your everything is supersized, and because you're living a supersized life, including that includes the bills that go along with it, you will become a slave to food preparation, carrying that around with you, eating it, and the cleanup associated with it. It is a real drag, and it never ends. But it's part of the deal. Nobody ever got bigger eating like a bird, right? Although there are a lot of guys out there that try, it just doesn't work. You need to put the work in with the knife and the fork. And then finally, in older age, the issues do start to multiply. The longer you stay at this new higher weight, let's say, the more stress there is on your heart and lungs. But in order to make the body think that this new weight is permanent, hopefully muscle weight, you need to live with it for several years, if not, a decade or more. So you soldier on, detesting the sight of food many times, but mechanically eating it, or eating rather, because you need to, that you need to get the results that you're shooting for. And there are other quirky things you know, like a deep sea diver. You take a deep breath and hold it just to tie your shoes, your sneakers. And, you'll sweat buckets in the dead of winter. I know
Mm.
I did. And you will know where all the bathrooms are. I promise you that. And not to mention, you'll need a new wardrobe fairly regularly if you're hitting your goals. And most people do that have their eating together. New clothes ain't cheap, especially if you have, let's say, a white collar job. And back in the day, that required a suit and tie, or five different ones for every day of the week. So those are just a few of the downsides. I would still tell you that if you are interested in getting big, doing doing these things, the heavy eating, the heavy lifting, between the ages of 15 and 25 is the time to do them. You will never have the magic like you do during that decade. And when you get past that, things only get more difficult. More difficult, not just in terms of hormone levels, testosterone, growth hormone, but also in insulin sensitivity. The amount of food that you can eat, assimilate, and process goes down. You just can't eat like you did between those 15 and 25, those early years. So shortly thereafter, I would encourage you to become a student and a practitioner then of body right? Recomposition, trading fat for muscle, which will suit you far better.
I got to tell you something else too.
Yeah,
Um, I just cut my calories dramatically. I am leaning out very very quickly. Elisa
yeah,
said she looked at me this morning. She goes, "I can't believe like how lean you're getting." You know, you just have to do it and stick with it for some weeks.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like I've been so busy. I haven't been eating every 3 or 4 hours like I like to. I have a breakfast in the morning. I have my last meal by 6 o'clock, and whatever happens in between that is a crapshoot right now. And so I'm going with it. Like I'm hungry most days. I'm starving right now. I got nothing with me. I didn't bring any food, and I have work to do, and then I have to go run out. I may not eat until
yeah.
later, and when I do eat, it like last night, Elisa had some Chinese food left over. It was just chicken and vegetables. I love bamboo shoots. And I that's all I ate last night. It was nothing. It was like it was like a snack. It was gone. And that might be why I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way, because when I don't eat enough, I have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah, same here. Same here. So those are some of the pros and cons of Bigarexia, if you will. You need to weigh them and you need to look at your goals, and you need to also balance it with longevity. Now, nobody's thinking about longevity in their teens or even 20s,
No,
maybe even 30s.
not even your
Um,
30s.
yeah, but trust me, that day's coming. So be prepared for it. Be prepared to pivot and go with the flow. I think there's a lot to be said with if your body's telling you that it just can't eat any more food, give it a rest, man, for at least a couple days. and then you can go back to your heavy eating.
I did a low protein like week. I did a
Yep.
week where like I had a few eggs in the morning, and maybe I had like I'm used to eating at least 300 grams of protein a day, and I don't have to struggle to do that either. I mean, I'll eat a couple pounds of beef, boom, that's like almost 200 grams right there. And so I thought, I'm craving like carb food. And I just went with it for a whole week. I didn't eat any. I ate minuscule amounts of protein, and I got to tell you, man, it contributed to my leaning out on top of everything else.
I was going to say, your muscles didn't disappear, right?
No, hell no.
No. So instead of mechanically sticking to a plan, the message is just listen to your body. If it's telling you to eat more, eat more. If it's telling you to stop, well, give it a rest. And just do that and see how you feel. That last benefit that you brought up is very, very. I'm glad you mentioned it. Think about it. If you're used to eating 4,000 calories a day, then man, when you cut to 2,000 calories, you're going to lose weight like this.
Oh my God! It's just
my wife hates me for this.
Yeah.
I told her. I told her. I said, hey, I'm losing too fast. Feed me some extra carbs tonight. I'm going to eat a little bit more. Why? Because I'm losing weight too fast. Oh my God. She wants to throw.
What a great problem to have, right?
Yeah, right. So, go with the flow and listen to your body.
And try a low pro. It was the
Big Beyond Belief.
Yeah.
Leo Costa.
It was when he worked with the who are they? The
Bulgarians.
Bulgarians. Thank you. They had low protein weeks where they didn't eat much protein at all for an entire week, and then the following week they would double and triple their training volume, and they would double and triple their protein intake, and it was like a boomerang. Bow! They would grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff.
What does this say here? So Boydster BC, who's watching on Facebook, says, when I fine-tuned my eating plan, it was very easy to cut just by adjusting the carb protein ratios. Yeah. Measuring your carbs is key, in my opinion. If you don't measure, you are pissing into the wind. This is why I like MyFitnessPal. Because we most of us eat 9 to 11 different things. Once you get into MyFitnessPal, your breakfast, your third meal, your second meal, and then what Boydster points out here is really intelligent too. Because once you're eating like that and you are consistent and you decide, I think I want to cut a little. Maybe you just remove one of those meals.
Yeah,
that's it. You just I'm going to eat these 5 meals and I'm going to forget the 6th one in the evening. That's all it takes. And then all of a sudden 2 weeks into it, you're like, wow, I can see my abs.
Yeah. All you need to do in most cases is drop 50 to, let's say, 100 grams of carbohydrates. And if your metabolism has been humming along at 4,000 and you just cut the carbs a little bit, you'll almost always lose. If you don't, then cut the calories too, and you most definitely will at that point.
Great show. Thanks to everybody who was here live, who posted questions and comments. I really appreciate that. Hopefully we got everybody's questions answered. And also, again, whenever possible, please patronize the sponsors. Because without them, the show goes away. And you know what? Maybe that's not the worst thing in the world for the show to go away eventually at some point in time. I mean, I'm not Joe Rogan. I don't have that big of an audience where people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe Superhuman Radio went off the air.
No, I think you're wrong. I bet there'd be a lot of those people. I really do.
Yeah. Well, like I said, help us out. When the sponsors are making money, they keep funding the show, and we work for you. So that's it. Very simple. And don't forget, one of those people is CoachRobRegish.com. Go there today. Sign up for the group bulletin. Buy some supplements. Spread the love. Okay? These are tough times for all of us, but if we're all in it together, it'll be a lot easier. And who knows? Maybe that movie will come out where the snipers... they wake up and
careful, man. I don't want to get a call from Secret Service.
No, it's a movie. I just want to see a movie. I want to see the good Secret Service guys and the good FBI guys and the good retired military guys, and they clean up our world. They clean up everything. and they do it from a mile away. They do it from a mile away. Nobody even hears a noise. Hey, what? Why'd that guy's head come off? What's that? What happened to that guy? I sound like Peter Griffin on Family Guy. What happened to that guy? What happened to the top of his head? How come it looks like a jaw somebody opened up and his brains spilled out? Thank you. Don't surrender. Yes. Don't surrender. That is a good point. We can't surrender. And there's Vera. Vera's Albanian. For those of you who pay attention, I'm actually my father's side, we're Albanian, but we settled in Italy, so we're called Albanese. But she works with Bill Tocco, and she's a competitor. She has a fantastic physique. All right, look, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Don't forget, go visit CoachRobRegish.com. Take care.